Welcome back to Crypto Talk, guys. So I wanted to run down a few things. Had some deep thought recently, I can't give enough credit to Raoul Pal. If you haven't followed him or listened to his overall understanding of global markets, the guy's a freaking genius. You should really listen to him talk and listen to his speech on the how global debt and how that cycle goes through things. The global debt cycle is kind of his take on how and why markets move, leads into quantitative easing, quantitative tightening. So he made a point in a video that I've seen recently that just made the light bulb kind of went off. So what I've drawn out here is so we typically have been looking at other charts, like I show you my other BLX chart, where I was going from market cycle bottoms and market cycle tops, and we were deducing ratios and averages based off of that. I don't know why we didn't think of this before, and Raoul Pal kind of did, but he made the great point that 2013 and the 2017 cycles were a near duplicate at how that should have been. We all knew that 2021 was a stifled rally. It was ugly. It was irregular in many ways, and it was caused by the global debt cycle, which I can't explain as well as Raoul Pal, but he basically said without the COVID crisis, you would have had a blow-off top later in the cycle. So because of the COVID crisis, you had a blow-off top early in the cycle, and it stunted it along with the ETFs that came in later in 2021. That just completely shot down any hopes of a normal bull market cycle. So, which means you have this build up to a nice crescendo and a blow off top, and then you crash down. So we had that in very beginning in 2011, 2013, 2017, did not have it in 2021. So a lot of us have PTSD from 2021 because we got shafted. That's just what it comes down to. So what I've done here is I've shown you the percentage gained from the time you break out from the previous all-time high. So here we have 2011. By the time you broke out, you gained 3,500%. Here in 2017, by the time you broke the 2013 high, you gained 1,500%. So basically we're having each other. Because of this, we got shafted. And really, excuse me, in 2021, if we didn't have COVID, you would have had a blown off top of 165,000 just by doing the halves, right? So if you did a half of 1,500%, you would have had, you have diminishing returns. We all agree upon that. So at this point in time, you'd have basically 750% return from that breakout point to the blow off peak. If you would have had that without having COVID, you would have your bear market crash. Well, from here, this breakout peak, if you deduce it in half again, you get about 378%, which I couldn't quite get my cursor to do here on the monthly or the 2 week here. But that's a $340,000 Bitcoin. So something I wanted to bring up, no one really seems to be talking about it. I think the theories are wrong. I think Raoul Pal is really onto something with this global debt cycle and how it's really driving all markets. We all know that quantitative easing is coming. Rate cuts are coming. It's all going to further lead to more feverish 2025 bull action in both the stock market and crypto. But I wanted to point this out. This is the bull case, in my opinion. This is well above my original expectations and price predictions, but it seems within reason. If we just, again, I'm a fractal guy. They don't have to play out this way. But let me pull a fractal for you and show you what that looks like in two different scenarios. So let's just pull up from this one, from the time you broke out to the peak here. And go there. Oops, excuse me. Oh, screwy. All right, get rid of this. It's nearly identical to what I just drew on just from the mathematics. You'd have a 340 to 350% Bitcoin. If we drew the same thing from this one down here, which is a lot more aggressive, what do we have? nearly identical. You have that's a $600,000 Bitcoin, so it's not realistic in my opinion. So what I'm saying is, why weren't we looking at this before? It's kind of crazy, right? We weren't really thinking outside the box, and if you weren't a global economist and or a hedge fund manager like Rural Powell was, you don't get these things. My background wasn't in finance, so my background wasn't following Wall Street trends. But this is interesting, and this is really kind of changing my perspective. This goes along with my thesis of the March 2025 not being the top. We have probably towards October to December of 2025 before we have a blow off top. And I'm thinking this is not the norm. This was just completely, we knew it was manipulated, but without COVID, we would have had a normal blow off top like we've had before. We've had 3 different times: blow off top, blow off top, blow off top. So why would we not have it again? So with that said, I guess I'm changing my new target to 340,000. I mean, the math is what's pointing me to that. So you heard it here first. I'm kind of agreeing with in between Cathie Wood and what Rural Powell is saying. He basically said Bitcoin does a 3x each time, basically above the previous all-time high. So he's not wrong. It's done it here. It's done it here. Well, this was 1,500%, but it's diminishing returns. So if this goes up 375% from this one, and let's say that's the high, then the next go around would be from here. So what is that? It's about bad math here, tired brain. So let's say 180. Okay, so let's say 189. So that's $1 million Bitcoin in 2028. Let's say we get diminishing returns, let's say 150. That's still a $800,000 Bitcoin in 2028. You can't argue the math. So I'll leave it at that, guys. By the way, this is my other BLX chart over here. Sorry, where is it? This guy. Once it pulls up. I had done previously deductions from top to bottom, peaks, the bear market lows. I've done a lot of deductions. I've spent over 1.5 years doing this charting, and I think I got it wrong. So I'll be the first to admit it. I think it's wrong. I think the way we were looking at it was completely wrong. I think Rural Powell's kind of really turned me on to looking at the chart differently. I'm going to start looking at fully from the cycle breakouts from the previous all-time high to the peak and the load. And I'm going to from this point forward, I'm going to exclude my data from 2021. I think it's shit, to be honest with you. I think it's just complete FUD, complete manipulation, and we got hosed, and we all know it. So without COVID, we would have had a normal blow-off top later in the cycle. You probably still would have had it in November, but really you had it in March. So you had it 6 months too early. So I'm thinking the same thing here. October, November, December of 2025 is where we're going to be. So I'll leave you at that, guys. Hopefully it wasn't too much of a lengthy video. I'll give up another tutorial here and other stuff shortly, but I wanted to get through this while I'm fresh in my mind and give props to Rural Powell. That dude is a freaking genius. So nothing to say is financial advice. Best of luck. You want to find me, head over to Crypto Blackwall on Twitter, the Blackguard Discord, if you need some private coaching. Head over to my Patreon, and if you're looking for a new leverage exchange that doesn't require KYC and never will, check out Dubai-based BitUnix. Later, guys.